In 2012, McLaren made the move from the fairy tale world of Formula One into the mass market world of high-performance supercars. In just 7 short years, they disrupted the landscape and brought out some of the most technologically advanced and performance-forward machines the supercar market's seen in some time. Now in 2018, McLaren's introduced their most advanced supercar to date. On this edition of the Targa Trophy Ride Check, we've got our hands on the newest member of the McLaren Super Series. This is the McLaren 720S. All right, my friends, we are in it. This is the 2018 McLaren 720S, and there's really one main thing you can say about this car, and that's that it's bad AF. Lo and behold, it only makes sense that McLaren's the manufacturer to put this kind of weaponry out on the roadways for the supercar consumers to have access to. It's only been a few short years that McLaren's been operating, and in that time, they've come out with so many models that raised the bar for what people expected at the time. They're always at the forefront of driver tech that goes into the cars, and McLaren now, for being the newest mass market manufacturer in the game, they've leveled up into the conversation with the best driving cars that have been around forever. And that's no small feat to be able to compete with those brands literally right off the bat from entering the marketplace. It's pretty evident that from a design standpoint, it's got a very controversial exterior design and evolved McLaren interior that's always kind of been a little bit futuristic. But getting into the outside of the car, you've got functional aerodynamics incorporated into all facets of the car, from the front air dam area to the way that the body panels are shaped from the hood back, now with a sort of forward-facing airflow design rather than the sort of big side pods that the 12C and 650S incorporated. This is more of a LMP1 look, if you will, from the front that channels air to enhance every aspect of the car, from the cooling of the brakes to the cooling of the turbochargers and the engine system. It's just another example of how McLaren's at the forefront of the design spectrum in the supercar world. Once you've sussed out the new design features that this 720S brings to the table, you go right into this updated power plant, which is the evolution of their single engine platform system. We've gone from a 3.8 twin turbo to now a 4-liter twin turbo engine, 568 pound-foot of torque, 710 horsepower. If you've heard this car being compared to hypercar speeds, that's because it is. This car has the second iteration of the proactive chassis control. You've got the hydraulic sort of magneto suspension that's not adjustable. This is sort of a one-way system on this car, but what this car delivers now that was not in the previous 650S or LT versions is a dynamic slip control that now lets you dial in the amount of slip angle you want for high performance driving. If you're a good driver, this is an essential element to putting down lap times and just maxing out the amount of fun you can have in this car.
We're gonna sweat the technique.
So today we are in the 720, which I can't really say is a vehicle, more so than a spaceship that the engineers at McLaren have somehow convinced the authorities belongs on the road with other cars. It's no secret to many of you who have watched the first season of Ride Check that I am a bit of a McLaren fanboy. So today's episode is a very exciting one for me. It's a car that I've been excited about for a long time. This is actually the first time that I've got my hands on this car, and it has done nothing but impress me since I got in it. This car is potentially the only car that I've ever felt is too fast. It's a car that needs to be respected because of how insane it is and how well developed McLaren has made these things. It has a lot of aerodynamic features. It has variable drift control, which is actually really cool in that it takes a lot of the danger, dare I say, out of drifting a car or sliding it around the corner. It has over 700 horsepower, which I would argue is far too much for the average person. Of course, it's typical McLaren. It still has its basic functions available at a dial in 3 settings. You have your comfort, your sport, and your track modes. And then individual of that, you have the ability to make it a manual, as well as turn off traction control, which when you have 710 horsepower is a scary thing. So when you're in the comfort or the sport settings, you have pretty much everything that you would expect on any normal car on the dash. But when you change it to track, you now have a more pronounced RPM counter. You have shift lights that look like they're straight out of the F1 car. You have all of your tire temps and pressures at a glance. You have this button on the left that drops the dash down to be this sleek little LCD screen that gives you about an inch of visual but feeds you all of your vitals at the same time, allowing you to really focus on the road ahead and your driving experience without the clutter of a traditional dash and all of the irrelevant information that you don't really need to see at every given moment. This car on its own, it is, I think, for the money, the best car that you can possibly buy brand new off the showroom floor.
So here's probably the most interesting part about the 720S. Once you're behind the wheel driving this car and you start to get used to the power delivery, you start to realize that this car is one of the most usable supercars ever made. From a lifestyle standpoint, if you're comfortable with this car, you've got no problem driving this car every day. Take it to the grocery store, take your kids to school, take your wife out to dinner. This car is easy to drive and gives you an on-road presence that no other car does right now. So you have to ask yourself, when you take all these elements that the 720S brings to the table, where does that put McLaren in the hierarchy of the brands that have been out in the marketplace forever? From my standpoint, McLaren has arrived with this car. This is the culmination of all the years in the game, from Formula One and the street car technology that they've been developing. And for a manufacturer that's only been in the game 6 or so years, to have a product that dominating is a huge win and solidifies McLaren as a serious manufacturer of some of the best driving cars money can buy. So when you add all these elements up to the 720S equation, it's undeniable that this car is off the charts. For anyone that owns one, have fun with it. For anyone that wants one, talk to your dealer. Because when it's all said and done, this is one of the best cars ever made at this point. And it is for sure 100% Targa Trophy approved. What's up, everyone? We are back. Thanks for watching another edition of the Targa Trophy Ride Check. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to stay up to date on all our latest videos when they come out. We've got a lot of new content coming at you in the coming weeks. And be sure to like and share all our videos to help keep the flow of content coming.